Hi, Simon. Sorry
Hi.
about the delay with everything. You know what it's
No
like?
problem.
Day five, PlayStation 5 launch event last night. I feel like everyone's just getting themselves going again after all the excitement. How are you, though?
Good, good. Not getting as much sleep as I'd like. The kids are going a bit stir crazy in lockdown, but
I know. Tell me about it. Well, not that I have kids, but sometimes I feel like I'm not getting as much sleep as I'd like.
it's weird. You feel like we should be getting more. We
I
should have the
know.
freedom to lie in, but it's just not working out that way.
I know. How bizarre is it? But yeah, so anyway, without any further ado, because I know we're 2 minutes over, I'm going to leave you to it. But before I do, I'm going to say to everyone, if you've got any questions for Simon, please throw them into the Q&A. We've obviously got the chat going on, like always. And yeah, and I'll see you in a bit for the Q&A session.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye. Right.
Okay, let's share that.
Okay, I'll wait until you've got it going, and then I'm looking forward to this. Oh, there we go.
Beautiful.
Great. Looking forward to it. So we'll see you in a bit.
Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you.
So hi, everybody. My name is Simon Platt, and this is my talk on how company-wide creativity was the key to our success. You can tell that title is a little over workshop there. Still not happy with it, but essentially creativity good, money good. And for those who don't know Kwali, we're a games developer and publisher specializing in hyper-casual mobile games. So as I said, I'm Simon Platt. I'm the head of development and the head of design here at Kwali. I've designed over 20 of Kwali's internal hits, including Jetpack Jump and Draw It. And I manage both the prototype and full development of our internal games. So from concept and early prototype tests to reviews, updates, and then eventually global launch. And I also used to be a professional wrestler, which isn't relevant at all, but there you go. There I am jumping around like an idiot. And then I decided that developing mobile games was slightly more rewarding than constant knee and back pain. So this talk will explore my history with Kwali and focus on three aspects. How we found ourselves in the then new market of hyper-casual games, the importance of a strong and positive studio culture, and how creativity across the team was really the key to everything that we achieved over the last few years. So I joined Kwali as head of QA. I joined mainly due to the passion that our CEO, David Darling, had in creating something unique, and also the freedoms and trust that were given to his team in order to make that happen. This is Wave Champions. This is something that was in development when I first started there, like a mid-core racing game, which had a really innovative track creation tool, which was all about giving the layman the ability to make something really neat, sort of turning something very intuitive and very simple into something that you could be really proud of in the back end. And it's sort of, that at its core is what David was trying to achieve, something that was accessible, but could be something that anyone could really dig into and sort of become obsessed with. It was mainly about creativity and doing something original. So the games being developed were all mid-core. They were focused on in-app purchase revenue, and they were reliant on a devoted user base. David wanted to develop games, and he wanted to be innovative. He was just trying to find the right space to do that without compromising. And like with a lot of indie developers, and also with old school gaming, the logic that the company held was very field of dreams. It was, if you build good games, people will come and they will make money. And this definitely works out in some cases. Like this is definitely a business model that works for people, but you have to be prepared to sink a lot of time and money in to finesse your product into something really sticky. And finding that gap in the market is very tough. But if you manage it, you essentially have a license to print money. But it wasn't fast enough for us. So we were frustrated by the long sprints that moved the needle only slightly, and the slightly demoralizing grind that had us trying to convince an audience that clearly didn't want these games right now, that they were worth their time. So we realized the importance of analytics throughout this time, working on games like this one right here. This is Trivia Clash. This is a competitive quiz game with 100% user-generated content. It was ambitious and it was awesome. And it taught us that to look as granularly as possible at every moving part of our games. And as the amount of data that we were taking in grew, but the KPIs didn't at the same rate, we realized that we were approaching the market in a way that just wouldn't work for Kwali and our sensibilities. But we wanted to preserve the freedom to try anything that we thought might be fun. We just couldn't justify big development cycles on titles that players didn't respond to. And that's when we started building a company structure all around failing fast. And that's where our Creative Wednesdays was born. So we were looking for a process that would allow us to be free to develop anything that might work. We didn't want to find a genre and then stick with it. We wanted to build and test whatever we thought might have merit. Sort of hedge our bets, but also allow ourselves the opportunity to test something crazy simply because maybe it just might work. We also appreciated that it doesn't take a superstar designer to come up with a hit hyper-casual game. We only hired creative people anyway, and motivated people. And this shift was a great opportunity for us to lean on that, and lean on the individuals within our company that we trusted. So we invited everybody to pitch their ideas to the company every single week, and we still do to this day. The most important decision we made with this process was not to give the final decision to any one person or committee of people. So we've fallen into that trap before. It's the same mentality of we know better. We decided to let everybody vote on the ideas and make what the company as a whole has faith in. And this had so many benefits. With it came a strong encouragement to the entire company to live and breathe hyper-casual games, learn what works, learn what doesn't, and essentially be a reliable voice when it comes to voting on what game we make next as a company. And what we ended up with was over 200 games pitched in that first year, from designers, programmers, QA, artists, recruitment, marketing, data analysts, and an entire company who were taking a strong interest in hyper-casual games, people who wouldn't typically be playing hyper-casual games, really sinking their teeth in so that they could both intelligently pitch and sensibly judge on our Creative Wednesdays. Successful pitches would then be given the freedom to form a team and the time to develop these ideas and ship them, allowing decisions past that to be completely data-driven. So this is the only time where we have say. After that, it's all down to what the data says, and that dictates where we take it. This is a simple game that we made back in 2018 in a few days. Little frog choosing which direction to hop in to race other people to eat these little bugs. And it sort of shows that anyone with any wacky old idea, if they can convince the company that there might be merit, we can get this made. So 40% day one retention became our benchmark at the start of this. This is a hangover from our mid-core targets. It was the industry standard at the time, and it was the best milestone that we had. Like, it was the only bit of data that we actually had on what could make these things successful. And we immediately started hiring up where it became obvious that we needed to excel. So marketing and analytics were leading the learning charge. And we accepted early that we would be crippled until we collected enough data. Fail fast became the most critical aspect of the business. We started by throwing our beloved children to the slaughter, knowing full well that they wouldn't be handled with, like, the campaigns wouldn't be handled efficiently, the games wouldn't be handled efficiently, and we wouldn't be looking at the right KPIs to get a full picture of the potential success of these games. But we were happy to make that necessary sacrifice. As with every failure, we learned an important lesson. And because of the process that generated so much content, so many ideas, and our ability to consistently learn from our failures, we very, very quickly adapted and became much more intelligent and dynamic in the way that we analyzed the prototype data. And this has allowed us to focus on the games players actually want. And we now pride ourselves on our dynamic ability to use all of the data available, not just retention, to identify and then scale hyper-casual hits. Thanks to the process, and with a team of only 10 developers at the time, we shipped hit games like Tens, Spills, Skiddy Car, Looper, Go Fish, Police Pursuit, and Plank, resulting over 100 million downloads worldwide. One thing I can't preach enough is the positive effect of a respectful and creative studio. And this is something that is very important to me through all aspects, in recruitment and also in the way that we handle ourselves day to day. Getting the smartest program in the world is fantastic, but if they aren't going to be flexible, keen to help others, and open to compromise, the natural speed at which we work and the dynamic nature of this space is going to turn that asset into a nightmare really fast. What we have at Kwali is a team of over 30 developers with a strong respect for each other and also the process. This incredible team have a drive for not only what we do, but working efficiently and improving processes. Most importantly, we have developers that we can trust to, whether they're juniors or leads, help drive their project forward, unblock people, and flag issues quickly. And we believe that this attitude and enthusiasm should be rewarded. So our profit sharing scheme, which paid out over $1 million last year to our team, ensures that is there. Along with a generous cut to everyone in the company, the people who pitch the ideas, rally behind them, and then get those ideas made are the ones that are going to be rewarded the most for their hard work. And by allowing everyone to not only see the process with full transparency, but by giving them the power to greenlight great games and benefit from the success of those games, the entire company became self-motivated to dive into hyper-casual and apparently play a lot of Smash Brothers as well. That was an unexpected side effect. We find that hyper-casual development is at its best when it walks a line of controlled chaos. We want to be able to turn on a dime, switch priority, or turn what we have into something completely different all as quickly as we can in the name of failing fast. We want to be able to kick off projects with little more than a concept and general game flow, simply because we know there's something there, there's something to this idea. So let's just start making it with no fear of losing time, just because we know that we're smart enough to make those cuts at the right time. Due to this, we need a lot of trust in our team. So we train and motivate our programmers to make smart decisions, to run with an idea and help make it into something glorious. We need artists who understand the importance of iteration and, in turn, the importance of getting a concept across quickly to the stakeholders for feedback. And the studio runs on communication and the trust in our developers to both take ownership and stay vocal with everyone involved. Due to the transparency and the motivations given to the team, we now have what we call all-rounders, protecting both the process and the quality of our titles on a daily basis. We've got programmers entrusted in making design decisions because they understand the core roots of what make our games work. And that derived from a passion for these games, which came from our Creative Wednesday process. We have artists who understand visual accessibility, which is a huge thing in hyper-casual, to the point where they can be creative and start to break ground in hyper-casual space and push the boundaries and try things that haven't been done. So touching upon innovation, a lot of hyper-casual, for those of you who know the space, is slow evolution. Like, this is undoubtable. So taking what came before, stepping it forward slowly with new takes and new twists on mechanics or ideas. And we do a lot of that. It's a consistently interesting and challenging design task, but not to the detriment of looking for concepts that are exciting and dynamic. Interactions with games that haven't been accessible in this space. And this approach breeds self-motivated, happy teams who enjoy working together. It leads to consistently exciting projects and prospects. And it means that people feel completely free in making themselves sound like an idiot standing up there pitching a crazy game, because they know there's a room full of people who are looking for something that's just a little bit out there. So let's take a look at this game on the left here. This is Draw It. So looking at the process of creating Draw It shows a lot of this active creativity at work. So it originated thanks to our CTO coming to me with research he'd done into a neural network used to recognize people's drawings. And he essentially dropped it on my desk and said, "You go make game." And eventually I came up with something that I thought was pretty cool. It was recognizing the drawings of players and awarding them money based on whether they produced what was asked for. But it failed miserably. KPIs were atrocious. And usually we've gotten pretty good at letting these things sort of wash over us. Obviously we fail a lot because we do so much. That's part of the process. But this one hurt because we thought we were onto something really clever. But because of the visibility of both the pitch and the development process of the idea, it wasn't long before one of our programmers came to me with some more ideas for the concept. We spent an afternoon workshopping the idea and came up with Draw It. And everyone involved, from the designers who came up with it to the artists who created this awesome style for the prototype, to the QA lead sharing the success. These are the people who got this game off the ground and into the hands of players. And if we don't have people rallying around the good ideas, our process means that they stay on the cutting room floor. There's a sense of ownership with the process that just elevates everything that we do. So takeaways. Create the right culture. And I know I'm preaching this a lot, but I genuinely believe this. This all feels very daytime TV, everyone hold hands, but it makes such a difference. It means going to work is an absolute joy, and it means that people are solving their own problems. Hire creative people with good attitudes. Bad attitudes and bad work ethics lead to a toxic string of resentment and breakdown in communications. I genuinely feel it's as important as the person's ability to do their job. Give back to the team with creative freedom, decision-making, and profit sharing. And encourage people to try and fail in all aspects of their job, ensuring that there's a supportive team around them to both protect them and help ensure progress is made. And then watch as you naturally grow a team of self-motivated leaders. Foster creativity. So one of the greatest things about hyper-casual is that great ideas can come from anyone. It doesn't take a superstar designer to say, well, what if a triple jumper had a jetpack on? And yet jetpack jump has done extremely well. Listen to everyone and earn the respect of your peers by getting good at giving blunt but constructive feedback. This was a hard thing to do. I'm a naturally anxious person, and I want to lift people. I want to elevate people, lift people up. And I quickly learned that as long as you send people away with an understanding and with a message, and as long as you give people the time of day, it doesn't matter how blunt you are. In fact, being blunt is the thing that is necessary to make sure that things keep moving on. And create a platform that allows people to have a voice if they believe in an idea but doesn't waste everybody's time. And as I said, education is key with this. Involving as many people as you can in the thought processes and the techniques used to craft these games, and ensuring people leave a conversation with more knowledge than they had going in. And let the user, this is an obvious one for anyone who's been doing anything close to what we're doing, let the user decide if your idea is great. The hardest lesson to learn as a developer is to let go. Things are changing constantly in hyper-casual, always, and the shifting trends and the consumer demands are moving all the time. Get something in front of players when it's good enough and not when it's perfect, and learn to let go of the ideas that just aren't going to fit in the current climate. Working with a publisher helps in a big way with this, obviously, with reading data, learning to fail fast, and also learning which way to take development in this tough market. By working with our publishing department, for example, you would get access to not only the publishing and marketing expertise, but also my entire development team. Like I'm personally reviewing all of the submitted games with promising KPIs that need feedback for coaching, for design plans. And then bear in mind, I'm going through the exact same trials and tribulations as these publishing partners. I'm just putting out prototypes that we strongly believe in, only to then be a slave to the KPIs. And I'm lucky to have such a talented team of data analysts and marketeers behind me to help turn the best of those ideas into charting hits. And finally, if you learn to let go and chase the next big idea, you don't have to compromise on quality or innovation in order to be successful in hyper-casual. The notion that hyper-casual is just copycats is ridiculous. You can be successful and be innovative in this space. And that's it from me. Thank you very much. I think we have time for questions.
Hi, yes, thank you, Simon. We do have some time for questions. I know everyone is quite often a little bit shy when it comes to the Q&A, but luckily, for me anyway, since you guys are one of our seasonal sponsors of the Big Indie Pitch, of which I do want to say to anyone watching, like, what you've said in your talk is not just bluster. Kwali are really great at supporting indies, and I see that every time we do a Big Indie Pitch. But I thought, given the nature of your talk, I could ask a few questions while we're waiting for anyone else to see what's what. So, I mean, one of the things you were talking about is obviously pitching, which obviously is near and dear to my heart, and making sure that you guys find the best developers, but also work with them. It's something that I know you and your team have said is that, like, even if the numbers aren't quite there, but are nearly there, you want to help them get over the line and stuff like that. So one of the questions I wanted to ask is, especially in the hyper casual space, do you think there's any key things that developers need to be aware of, and also any key mistakes that developers might be making before approaching you in terms of making sure that their game is kind of optimized for that hyper casual market?
The biggest thing for me is to focus on that first milestone. It's finding a good way to get your idea down into something that can be tested, because it's very easy, especially for very passionate developers, to have a full understanding of what they want their game to be, and they don't want anybody to touch it until it reaches that milestone. And the problem with that is it makes it a lot harder to find the points where you should diverge one way or another. And accessibility is sort of the name of the game. So if you have a really strong idea of exactly what you want your game to be, and you build it to be that, it's very hard at that point to pluck out exactly what part of the game maybe doesn't work. So what I'd say is break your idea down to, especially mechanically, exactly what it needs to be. Figure out the cheapest way to make something, and don't necessarily ship it, but get it into the eyes of people like us, because we can look at those things and truly help get excited about what will work and what won't. Internally, the second someone says something or shows me something that is that is just inspiring, I can't help myself. Like I'll jump into that conversation. We'll spend 2 hours workshopping it, and I'd love to see that. We're inviting external developers to give us not only games now, but pitches, ideas, because I want to see what's in. I wish I could see what was in people's brains, because then I could just jump on it and help like roller coaster those ideas. And figure out what's the bare minimum we can do to put it in front of someone, see where the strengths lie, and then work with it to make sure that the art style, the input, the UX is all exactly on point.
Yeah, I mean, actually, and you can see now that the questions are rolling in, which they always do when we start the Q&A. And I have to remind myself, because I know a lot of the answers to these questions from working with you guys for quite a while now, but I'm going to put them to you because obviously the audience don't know the answers to these questions.
It's fine.
So,
you and I can just have a chat.
Yeah, we could just have a chat. So Lee asks, how long is your cycle from pitch to publish on average?
Pitch to publish. So internally, it varies based on how ambitious the title is. We recently have been playing around with a lot of tech, which extends the time it takes for us to make our prototypes. We aim to get our first shippable from concept to prototype out from 3 to 5 days. Like it really is that small, where we feel like we have something that's good enough for us to get into the hands of users. Yeah. Off the back of that, we'll usually put between 1 and 2 weeks into another sprint to put the extra bits in maybe a light meta where we think it needs it. And then off the back of that, another week to get it ready to global ship. We really want to be able to turn this stuff around within a month from concept to getting data to being able to go global. And this was important to us because we wanted to be able to apply the exact same logic to our publishing deals. We know that there's external teams that really want to get their ideas out quickly, especially in hyper casual. There's a fear of what if someone beats me to the punch? Like we're all thinking about these ideas. We don't want copycats, and we don't want people coming up with this great game and getting it to market before I do. So we've worked very hard to make sure that our turnaround is a few weeks tops.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, one of the other questions that's coming up, which is kind of on the flip to like getting the game to launch, is post-launch retention something that's becoming important to hyper casual, or is it always more effective to move to the next game? Now, I know how long you guys work with the developers after launch, but I suppose you can share that with the audience.
This is something I struggle with every single day because the games that go out and do well, every part of me wants to just make them better and better and better and better. And there's a resource struggle between that and then coming up with new ideas. And so it's a balance. With publishing, it's a little bit different because we know that our external teams want to spend more time on these games. So we spend a lot of time helping them with their next sprint. What's the next update? What's the next update? And we can give these games a much longer life. Internally, we try and balance that resource so that we're always focusing mainly on new ideas and getting new stuff out. A good game can live for years. Like we've got games. Tens is the first game that we ever really produced in this space, and we have users who have played every day for 2 years straight. Like there are definitely games that can, with the right attention, have a really long tail and do extremely well. And when working with publishing partners, that's what we're all about. Like if they are excited to keep working on these games, then we are all for giving them the time of day to figure out what updates and what extra parts to this game can work out through a mix of A/B testing and also just feature updates.
Yeah, and it'd be remiss of me to not give a shameless plug. Obviously, Simon, not you, the other Simon, and Hugo, one of the developers you've worked with, and myself all jumped onto a fireside chat on Monday. And I believe those links will have been sent out to everyone. So, if you're also interested in getting deeper into that, there's a fireside chat there which does delve into a lot of that as well. So, be remiss of me not to promote.
plug.
Yeah, plug that. Like the questions are rolling in, so we'll see how many we can get through. Next up, though, is one of our attendees is asking, is it possible to adapt games that were not hyper-casual at first, but break it down in a way that it works for the hyper-casual market? I think that's an interesting question.
Absolutely. And we love when people come to us with this. When people come to us with games that are complete or are sort of in development and they've decided that they're just feature creeping. A lot of times people will come to us and say, we've made this thing, we think it's cool, but because of our traditional designer brains, we assumed it needed this, and then we assumed it needed this, and we assumed it needed this. And that's a fantastic thing for us to get, because you already have the hyper casual necessities in there. Is this game fun to play? Is it consistently giving me that endorphin hit? Is it something I want to come back to? And so I think it's the perfect opportunity to take something that was big and ambitious and really hard to mold into a successful mid-core game, and then break it down to its core pieces and turn it into a hyper casual game. We get a lot of this, and it's one of the most exciting things that we see, because we can immediately start talking about, how do I feel when I play this game? What do I want in this game? And if you just don't understand hyper casual, then publishing deal with Kwali is the perfect way to go, where you can say, we've made this cool thing, help us turn it into something that fits that market.
Yeah, I mean, on that point, it's a sort of a similar related question, but would you say hyper casual is the easiest way for young teams to enter the games business?
That is interesting. I mean, it's a challenge. Like it's a very saturated market, hyper casual. As we know, there's more and more people getting into this space, and it's not because it's a super easy thing to do, but it's a really easy thing to try. And if you have a good mentality and mindset for, I have an idea, I want to get it out there, okay, move on to the next, then I think it's perfect for you. If you really want a shotgun approach, you don't want to get too sick and tired of any one idea, and you want to be moving on to the next, it's perfect, because it allows you to do the bare minimum and then find out if it's worth your time. So you think about game jams and people who get into programming and get into games via these 2-day game jams. Like, if you enjoy that work, then this is perfect for you, because after 2 days, you can end up with something that we could tell you this is going to be a hit game.
Yeah, I mean, I know we started a couple of minutes late, so I'm still going to try and get through as many questions as possible. One that's just come in from Daksh is, what are the most important lessons you've learned from games that didn't work rather than those that did?
I think accessibility is the biggest thing, especially with a team full of gamers, of like all-around gamers. So a lot of people who play PC games, a lot of people who play console games, mid-core, hardcore games on mobile. It's very easy to try and weave in mechanics or nuances that you enjoy from these other games. And the hardest thing is putting your mind into the mindset of the average hyper-casual user. And to say the average hyper-casual user even is, like, this is a broad market. The whole hyper-casual spectrum only works because you're appealing to so many people. So figuring out how you can make your game intuitive enough and hand-holding enough for the people who aren't used to playing games, but still accessible and not frustrating to the people who have played games their entire life, is really, really tough. And so the way to think about it really is like clean accessibility. Like, can you see 7 different people in your life, from grandmas to children, seeing this game and thinking that, okay, there's something in there for me?
Yeah, great. I mean, we have got a few other questions, but unfortunately we've hit the time. So I'm going to say to everyone, like we've been doing all week, head over to the Discord, get involved in there. We've obviously got the track chat open, and we'll be able to, hopefully put some more questions out there and get some feedback from the people. And if you've got a chance, Simon, would love to see you in the Discord and see if anyone's got any, jump in and ask you more questions. Of course, if anyone does want to pitch their games to Kwali, you guys are our seasonal sponsors for the Big Indie Pitch Digital. So definitely head over to bigindiepitch.com, because you guys will be there with me and we'll be checking out all the latest cool games. But thank you so much for sharing that. I think there was a massive amount of actionable stuff for the people in the audience, and obviously a great insight into not just you guys at Kwali, but hyper casual and hyper casual publishing in general. So definitely worthy of our opening and of our superstar session to open this indies track. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and it was an honor for me, as someone with indie near and dear to my heart, to open this track. So thank you so much.